Hello, everybody. It's Stephen and Walter here for another episode of the Idiot Quilter, episode number 87 for January the 6th, 2023. It's Epiphany. It's a definite epiphany for me. Well, whatever. Okay, so what are we going to show you today and talk about? Well, mishmash of little things, and we want to talk a little bit about the trends that people are predicting for 2023 in the sewing and quilting world. But before we do that, what's Walter got to show us?
Well, still had a bag that I had partially completed for Christmas, so I was going to finish making the bag, and I was doing the embroidery on it. So I did this one for one. I like doing a different embroidery for each side. So I did this one for one side, which I really like. I think it's a nice pattern. And then I got a pattern from Steve that had a truck with gnomes in it, and I was doing it on the embroidery machine, and it got to the last 3,000 stitches or whatever, and all of a sudden my machine jammed and the hoop popped.
Say it isn't so.
So when the hoop pops and drags it out of the
You're screwed.
yeah, there's no way you can line it up again. So I don't, to me, it's not finished enough for me to use it.
Well, I say don't throw it away. I'll take it. I'll throw it in my orphan block pile, and could become part of a weird quilt someday.
Yeah, it's sort of almost finished, but I don't, there's some other things in it that I wanted it to do. So
Well, it was working on the outline, wasn't it, of
yeah,
the
it
thing,
was.
which is in black.
Yeah. And I'm not too impressed. So
Not impressed.
it's in dark brown actually.
Oh, excuse me, I stand corrected.
But anyway, so I'm going to do another pattern.
Another, oh, okay. That one didn't work for him, so he tried another one. I've done that pattern several times. I didn't have a problem
I
with
don't
it.
really like it anyway. So.
Yeah. Okay. If you know the story of the fox and the grapes, couldn't reach the grapes. Oh, they're sour anyways. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. So this is just a quick peek at what I have finished because Stephanie Stitches and I are going to do a thing about these. You're going to hear about that in a little bit later on, or actually a tease to that. But so I'm not going to dwell on this. I'm just giving you a little quickie look. And this is what was in the Missouri Star Quilt Christmas box, and it was one of their little kits for making the mug rugs and a mini quilt. I do not like mug rugs, and I did not like binding these mug rugs. And if you want to know more about all of that, then you'll have to wait until Stephanie and I present our endeavors with this, which isn't going to come up for a couple of weeks, but a little bit more information about that kind of thing a little bit later on. But right now, that's our project so far. I'm working on another quilt. I don't have anything to really show you on that, but there will be something to show you on the Idiot Quilter next week as well. And I did a little fun little video, something a little different to show that, or the work in progress at the time. But that's all I'm gonna say. No more, no more. I mean, got to keep you people coming back, don't I? Shivering with anticipation. Okay, so an issue that we were going to bring up last week, but we forgot to, and I want to bring it up this week. And I don't want this to sound like this is being super critical or negative, but we get questions and comments, okay, all the time. All YouTube videos have those, as you pretty much well know. And I appreciate your comments and I appreciate your questions. However, some people will ask a question and it's already been answered in the video. So that suggests to me you're not listening carefully enough. Okay. Now, of course, it happens. There's lots of information there and whatnot. And, you might have missed something and didn't hear it. I mean, I do that. So who doesn't, right? And that's fine. But then some people don't do any research initially. They just expect, like they'll say, oh, what's the name of that fabric that's in a quilt? I may have made the quilt a month ago, and I do not
And you
honestly.
may have bought the fabric 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I honestly don't know what the fabric is. And I'll be honest, I might have some of it still on my shelf and I could hunt through it and see if there's salvage on it and read it off and all that. No, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it. You know why? Because I got better things to do with my time. Or I get asked about somebody has mentioned in something a YouTube channel or whatever. I usually put links for anything that I talk about in my show notes. First place to go and look. And I know some people are not aware that there's such a thing as show notes. They're right underneath the video. You go in there, and anything that people are talking about, usually they list links if it's something significant or whatever. And I do all the time in there. So that's a good place for you to go, first off, to find possibly will answer your question before you even have to ask it. The other thing is, I may mention things in passing in my videos. I have no idea where those came from. I mean, if I was to list every little reference that I make, I would never get anything done. Okay. So here's my advice to you. Before you ask me a question about something, like out of the blue kind of video, do a Google search. I mean, we have the technology. I use Google all the time for all kinds of things. I mean, you've got a whole library and more at your fingertips. Just plug it into Google.
It's like somebody will say to you, mention a word,
Yeah.
and then you go, "Oh, I don't know what the meaning of that word is." Google it.
Yeah.
You'll find the meaning.
Now, I don't want to seem rude, but sometimes people will ask me a question and put it in the comment section, and I won't answer it because it's too complex. It would be a whole video to answer that question. Now, having said that, I do look at those things and I think, hey, that would be a good topic for an upcoming uh, show. So I will note that down and maybe do some research about it. But sometimes the questions I get asked are very obscure. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. They'll say, on a video, on that video you did about the Gnome 15,000, you said something about this. Look at the date on the video. If I made that video over 2 years ago, I haven't got a clue what you're talking about. You have to be much more specific, and we have brought that up before. Now, I am not complaining. I am trying to make things easier for you by saying, like, if you've got a legit question about something, give me the context, give me all the details. Like, somebody the other day watched one of my really early Idiot Quilter videos and had a question, but she said at around the timestamp and gave me, 8-minute mark, 10-minute mark, or something like that, you were talking about this, and I was wondering about this. Now I can find it. Because honestly, I don't remember what I put up the week before. I don't, because I'm usually working a week ahead. So if you asked me right now, if you were in the same room with me and said, okay, last week you were talking about, no, I don't remember, because I don't. And also,
Or also, if you're not being specific enough about what you're asking about, like, "Oh, I saw the yellow fabric that you used in a quilt 3 days ago. Do you know what kind of yellow fabric that is?" And you could have used three different kinds of yellow fabric. I
and
don't
I
know.
wouldn't have a clue. And as I said, I am very bad for not taking note of designers or of companies usually. When I buy fabric. When I buy fabric, I don't buy it necessarily for a specific project. I buy it to put in my stash. You've always heard me say, when someone says, why did you buy that fabric? Because it's pretty. What are you going to do with it? I don't know. It's pretty.
Yeah, like I have a whole pile of fabric that I bought a couple of years ago that I thought I'd like to use someday. Well, I know the stuff's out of print now. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody asked me, "Oh, well, where'd you get that fabric? What kind it is?" I could give it to them, but then they may not be able to find it because it's out of print.
And to be honest, I'm not going to do the research for someone. Okay. That's why I say go to Google. Now, you're going to say, yeah, but I don't know the name of it. How can I Google it? Google has a feature that is intuitive. If you go in and say, okay, let's say one about the fabric. You saw a fabric you really liked, you knew the color of it, you didn't know the manufacturer, but there was a detail in it, like say it had butterflies. and it was yellow. If you go into Google and you say yellow fabric with butterflies,
Or yellow quilting fabric.
or yeah, you be as specific as you can because it'll narrow down your search. But you know what Google does? It puts up images first. And if you click the little button that says view more, you will see all of these pictures, pages of pictures that will come up. The algorithm in Google finds not only just text, but it also finds pictures that are associated with whatever your search terms are. And if you scan through that, you might actually find what you're looking for. And then you just click on the picture and you'll get information about it. I do that all the time for things. I find it very, very helpful with that. But again, it's some people don't bother to do any research.
Or they don't seem to know that you can do those things.
Like I'm not Google. Okay. If I know the answer to your question right off the bat, I will give it to you. Okay. But I'm not going to spend hours and hours researching it for you. Sorry. I can't. I'm doing other things. I have a life, So I appreciate you asking me a question when you need to ask a question. I appreciate your comments as well. But as I said, in order for me to answer your question, I have to know what you're talking about. So the more detail you can give me, the better. And don't expect me to give you the impossible. And do a little bit of preliminary research for yourself as well. What's the old saying? I can give a man a fish, but that will not keep him from starving. I can teach a man how to fish, and that might. Okay, so same idea with that. Anyways, we thought we'd just bring that up, just so you know. Okay. Now, if you hate me for the rest of life and you'd want to unsubscribe from my channel because of that. Okay. So I got a couple of things that I ordered. You gonna live?
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't die online. Of course, that might increase viewer rating.
Maybe.
I don't know. Watch Walter die online. Soft Impressions is a company that I reviewed on the Idiot Quilter just a week ago. And I decided when I was doing the interview, I saw some fabric I really liked. It had cats on it, of course, and it was a Christmas fabric. And I'd never seen this particular line anywhere before. So I decided, plus their prices were good and they had free shipping over $100, that I would order it from them. And I did, but they charged me shipping. I wrote to them immediately. They said they were so sorry about that. And we got that all sorted out. And the company was very good. Their customer service was very, very good. So no complaints there about it whatsoever. But I discovered that really the accounting problem was not their fault. And I told them that after I discovered it. The fault had to do with the way Visa was, because I did it on my Visa card, was posting a refund that they sent me because it looked like I'd been charged double. Well, I had been. Not by the company, but by Visa. It was supposed to come through as a refund. It came up as a credit or as a debit. No credit. Like they were charging me again another 15 some dollars. So essentially Visa charged me twice. So I wrote to the company and said, this happened. They said, oh, they didn't. I told them, okay, this was the problem. They'd already fixed it up with me. They had e-transferred me the money and everything got fixed up. And I think I talked about that in the video. And then when I found out it was a Visa problem, the company had actually given me more money back. Yeah, I could have been a dishonest person and just ignored it. They're a company, who cares? But they're a small company, and I'm not going to do that to them. It wasn't their fault. It wasn't my fault. It was the fault of the way Visa does things. So I said to them, I'll send you back the money, e-transfer. So I did, and they thanked me for it and said, thank you for being so honest. Well, yeah. I mean, I wasn't trying to cheat them out of anything. Their customer service was good. But the moral to the story is this. If you're one of those kind of people who doesn't keep track of your credit card bills online or something like that, don't take anything for granted. You need to double check, because Visa makes mistakes too. They'll never admit they've made a mistake, but they do. So just that's what I learned about that whole situation. The other thing is I already showed, well, you'll see it actually on the Idiot Quilter on Tuesday. I did a box reveal of the Sewers Club box. Now, last week I showed you what the box look like. And no, did I do that on this one that's coming up? See, I'm a week ahead. I'm never sure. Anyways, you may have already seen it. If you didn't, then you're going to see it. Okay. And I'm not going to show it again on this. I just wanted to talk a little bit about Sewers Club. Okay, this was my second box from them, the subscription box that I pay in total through shipping and taxes, $66 Canadian for 15 fat quarters that are curated according to my likes and dislikes. I am not displeased with it, but right now I'm giving it about a 6 out of 10 because the fabrics that were in this last box are okay. They're nice. But to be honest, if I saw bolts of them in the store, some of them I would never ever pick. But having said that, you can't expect every fabric you're going to absolutely love. And I get that. Am I going to continue with the box? Yes, I am. I'm going to give it a little bit more time and see. But I've been hearing people talking, several people have complained that the fabrics that they didn't want, which they had put in the little survey that you fill out for them, they got some of those. And then when they wrote to the company didn't write back to them or said, oh, sorry about that. They do better. And the next box I got, they didn't do better. I don't know. I don't know how true that is. I mean, let's face it, there are some people out there that will never be happy about whatever comes, okay? So those are the kind of people that shouldn't get subscription boxes, period. Maybe they weren't clear in whatever they said in their message to the company. That's a possibility. But I'm
Or
watching
they're
that.
being picky in
Yeah,
that, like if they say no purple or something like that, and then they get a yellow fabric with purple
with a little
flowers.
yeah, okay.
So that might be something like that. I don't know.
I don't
I'm
know.
guessing.
There's actually a lot of factors that it could
Yeah.
be. So all I know is I've heard about these things, I'm noting them, and I'm taking those into consideration when I get the next box. So I think the next box is possibly going to be a make or a break for me. I'll just see how that works. I like getting them. I like, it's kind of excitement. It's like, a little Christmas gift kind of a thing throughout the whole year. So I do like that kind of aspect about it. Um, but it is a little, well, you're getting 15 fat quarters.
Yeah, but you got to remember, you're getting 15 fat quarters uh, that they pick, not that you
Yeah.
pick,
Well,
right?
like I
Like, I
said,
mean, if you go to a store and you see a bunch of fat quarters, you pick the ones that
yeah.
you like.
But the other thing though too about this is, and I think I said it in the video, was that okay, I may not have, if I'd seen these in the store, I may not have picked them out. But now I have them, and I'm thinking, well, maybe it's forcing me to think outside of my color palette box because I tend to lean towards blues and purples and maybe teals and towards bright colors as well. Um, Maybe this gives me an opportunity to explore, color theory a little bit as well. I don't know. I'll see. The quality of the fabric that's coming in those boxes, though, is good quality cotton. So I have no complaints about that. They give you the name of each of the fabrics with it on a card. So that's good to know as well, especially for someone like me who doesn't pay much attention to that kind of thing.
Well, not only that, if for some reason you wanted to try and
Well,
find
you want to find a
some more
larger
of it,
amount
yeah.
of it. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because I don't remember what things are called. I have to take in the sample with me in the store and look around and see if I can spot it or take a picture of it on my camera and go in the store and look. So I think it's good for that. Also, I did write to them, as you know, and ask them about my possibility of being an ambassador for them. Um, I wrote to them just around in Christmas time, so they were busy, and they said, could they get back to me in January about it? And I said, sure, fine, no problem. Now, I haven't heard anything from them yet. And I don't know if I am going to hear anything from them. Is it a biggie? Not really. Um, Also, maybe right now that was maybe a premature request because I'm still not completely 100% saying, feel confident to tell everybody, yeah, join this. This
Well,
is
not only
great.
that, if they don't give you, they give you a freebie, you might be trying to promote them a little bit more. Whereas right now, you're not, you're giving an honest answer.
Yeah, well, even if they gave me a freebie, I'm still going to be honest,
Yeah,
and then I'll stop being their ambassador if I felt that way. I will not turn around and say something is I absolutely love it and that kind of thing. If I don't, I'm not going to do that with it. So, and the only reason too that I've never done been an ambassador for anything, so I thought I'd give it a try. Also, I kind of felt, well, why are all the Americans becoming ambassadors for a Canadian company? Where are the Canadian ones?
they're trying to promote their business in America,
Yeah,
which
I
has a
know.
larger population.
Of course, I get that, but they should also be promoting it in their own country
Yeah,
as
exactly.
well.
Yeah,
They're a Canadian company because if I can buy from a Canadian company, I will for many reasons. Like shipping,
shipping,
exchange,
shipping.
shipping, yeah, exchange rate, all that kind of stuff. But nevertheless, if they're a Canadian company, they should be reaching out to Canadians. Now, maybe they have, and I haven't seen those YouTubes that have it on it. I don't know. But it also seems kind of ironic because we only live an hour away from them, kind of a thing. So, right. But we'll see. Anyways, that's an ongoing story, and I'll update you when I get more stuff about that. Okay, so we had Craft and Chat this past week, Wednesday. I think we had a record number at Craft and Chat, and that was great. I think we were around 30 at one point or so, which is pretty good. Um, and of course, every time I have a craft and chat, I end up spending money because somebody comes up with something that I didn't know about. They are my group of enablers. And there's a couple of them on there, and their names will be unspoken. Dana. Um, that always, oh, Steve, I thought of you when I saw this. Yeah, ka-ching, ka-ching. Well, guess what it was this time? Glide threads from a company in Ottawa area called Three Dogs Quilting. And they had this big special 30, you could pick 30 spools of glide thread, and I use glide, I quilt with glide on my Lucy for $160 Canadian with free shipping. And well, there'd be tax on it, but still free shipping and the whole bit. So I did. Haven't got them yet, but well, that was just on Wednesday, kind of a thing. So I did because can you ever have too much thread? No. So I'll show those whenever I get them. But and other things on Craft and Chat, there were some new bodies on there as well, which was nice to see. New people, and I hope they had a good time. And I do hope. I sometimes worry afterwards that maybe um, they don't get my sense of humor because sometimes there are things said on Craft and Chat that the other people know what I'm talking about, like my witch's coven that's on there. And yeah, well, if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, why not? Okay, another thing. I already have told you that Stephanie Stitches and I are putting together a collaborative sew along. We are going to announce that on a video on Monday. And that will give you all the details about it. It's a free pattern, easy to get, and yeah, all the ins and outs of that and how that's going to work. This will be my first sew along that I've ever done. In fact, I've never even been part of a sew along before, just as even as a participant. So this is new to me. Stephanie does them a lot, so she knows what's going on. And together we're working on this, and it should be pretty good. So watch for that video. It'll come out on Monday, at some point on Monday. Okay, we have other plans too. Now, some people have been asking me about the spring retreat, and I haven't, and I still don't have an exact date because there's been some factors working into that. One of them is this collaboration, this sew along, which is going to take up pretty much most of January and most of February. Um, then Stephanie's having a retreat, so I didn't want to conflict with hers. And then Walter and I are going to Vancouver. Yep, first trip. We've got three possibilities planned this year. Well, the first one's coming to fruition right now. Walter, my travel agent, has been busy booking. You guys booked our flights and booked our hotels in Vancouver. And now,
So far, the first 3 days are booked, and I got a car rented, and first 3 days are booked in Vancouver, and their last day before we leave is booked in Vancouver, and then the rest I haven't planned yet, so we're figuring that out.
So in around the middle of April, we'll be off to that. So that will interfere the flow of videos, obviously, but we'll probably do some special Stephen and Walter ones, depending on connections to the internet, whether they will be live or not. Probably not, unless we've got a really fantastic internet connection someplace where we're staying. Most of them will be, I will try to make some and upload them from out in BC. Again, everything depends on the technology and
Hmm.
how well their internet is wherever we are out there. But that's not for a bit of time. So all of that interferes with when I was going to have the spring retreat, because usually I have the spring retreat in around the tail end of March. It's looking now like it's going to be more towards the first week, sometime in the first week of, well, it would be a weekend of May. But don't hold me to that yet. When I have it all put together, figured out, then I'll let you all know. And if you want to be on the mailing list for the retreat, just send me your email address and tell me you'd want to do so, and I will put you on the mailing list. But of course, all the details will come up in my videos, but that's not going to come up for a couple of months. So no panic at the moment for that. Okay, so yeah, we're going to travel. So that'll be interesting. And of course, I'm going to check out quilting stores along the way as well. Have to do some research and find out what's out there in where we're going. I won't be able to buy that much
Well,
because,
not necessarily. You maybe if the store has shipping or something,
well, yeah, I could probably
you
arrange
might be
it.
able to arrange, say, can you ship this
Yeah,
after a certain date or something like this.
yeah, I probably could do that too. I didn't think about that. So yeah, I suppose that's true. If I see something I really, really want and I really like, and it's going to be too much to get into my suitcase for, well, getting it, one of you pay for the baggage, but on the other hand, will it ever arrive? And that's something we need to discuss too. We're
Hmm.
going to have a contingency in terms of flying, because a friend of mine just had posted a picture on Facebook. She finally got her suitcase back. She went away over Christmas. It was Natalie. And yeah, their suitcase just finally arrived. Jet. So yeah, great service, eh? Okay, so main point of what we want to talk about now is quilting and sewing trends for this year. I did a little research on Google, and you may or may not agree with these. I don't know if I agree with all of them, but we thought I'd pick a few of them. And of course, the first thing that I picked, and let me get things up here on the screen. Okay, so every year there's the color of the year, right? By what do they call it? Pantone, the color people, paint people. I don't know. I don't know why they get to choose the color of the year, but apparently they do. And guess what the color of the year is going to be? Viva Magenta is the color of the year. Oh my God. And they've got, and there's shades, of course. So this is what we're talking about, the very vibrant pinky purpley kind of color in there.
But the colors they're showing on there are more like a cardinal red.
Well, up here, but they have it open to a put. This is
No,
probably not the best picture because it's
no.
not showing it specifically. But see, they've got it here. There's an article. Maybe in that article they might. No, it's the same picture.
There
Well,
we
here
go.
you go. There's what it looks like.
Yeah, like
So
I said, it looks sort of like cardinal red.
yeah, but it may be the monitor. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
don't know.
Well, they call it magenta.
Yeah, well, to me, that doesn't really look
Okay,
like
well there you
magenta.
go. There it is. They're showing it in that too. Actually, when you see it, that if it is that real shade of it, it's not that bad.
They
In
call
fact,
it a
it's
raspberry blush.
a raspberry blush. Raspberry blush magenta. Okay, well, whatever. I don't know. Could they get more to the point?
Mm.
But that's the color for this year, apparently. So, and here they're showing it,
Ew.
Well, these are no, these are different. These aren't the
No.
color of the year. This is other stuff
Yeah.
in it. But I don't know. It's too close to a vibrant pink for me. Although, if it was this shade that they were showing,
Well, look at
where
that.
is it?
See, if you look down there, this one here,
Yeah,
that almost looks like that's supposed to be the color palette,
I guess. Yeah, okay.
which is more like what's on that cup that you showed.
Yeah, there's the cup there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me,
Well,
it's like a bright
okay.
Santa Claus red.
Well, I really think they should have called you up for naming it.
Yeah, I know.
You would have had a much better description of it,
We'd
apparently.
have to see it in real
Yeah.
life to see.
But now picture that color though, even in this shade. What's the first thing leaps out at you about that color? Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't do Valentine's. So I don't know. For me, it doesn't impress me much. And in fact, wasn't it last year? It was periwinkle?
Something like that. Yeah.
And periwinkle is sort of a purpley color.
Yeah.
Um, and it was also a color too that I would like.
Yeah, well, if they're picking a color, they're going to run out of colors
I
eventually.
guess so. Well, they actually describe it here. So you're right. It says the crimson hue is inspired by the red cochineal,
Cochineal.
cochineal, one of the strongest and brightest dyes in the world. Okay. So I guess you were probably closer to saying like more of a cardinal red or something. I don't know. Or a blue jay that blushes. I don't
Or my
Sorry.
favorite one. But anyway.
Oh, oh yeah. Never mind. We aren't going to discuss that at all. Okay. So that's one of the trends. So there you go. Start picking your fabrics. It'll be interesting to see how many fabrics have that color in it this year. Um, So another trend here is quilt patterns. And I found this little video and I'm going to play it on YouTube. It's just 28 seconds long, but this is somebody's prediction of trends and we'll see whether or not we agree.
Ew.
Ooh, I should actually, let's go back and I'll pause it at each one because they go by pretty fast.
Can you do
Okay.
it in a bigger screen?
Yeah, I can. Go here. Oh, okay. Where did it go? I lost it. Thank you for asking about that. No, that's not it. Where's Safari? There it is. Okay. And let's go big or go home. Let's skip the ad. And okay, here we go. All right. Patchwork fashion. So there was everybody was making quilted jackets and things like that. But this looks like, I don't know.
This looks like what hippies used to wear.
Yeah, kind of a thing. Um Okay, but put it into context of it's supposed to be a quilting trend. So what? We're all going to make dresses and clothing that's made with patchwork like that? That isn't even quilted. A quilted jacket is quilted.
Hmm.
That's not. I don't know. I don't.
Can't see that
I
being a
can't
trend.
seeing that being very trendy. So that's a thumbs down. Let's go to the next one. Okay, is this really a trend? Sustainability. Okay, so they're showing like a t-shirt quilt. Okay, so basically taking old clothing and making it into a quilt or something new. Okay, I get that, but that's not anything new. People have been doing that forever. There's all
Yeah.
kinds of YouTube videos where people go out to thrift stores, thrifting, and they buy old quilts or old clothing, cut them up, make quilts out of them in the whole bit. So I don't think that's really a quilting trend. I think that's always been around. Okay, improv piecing. This isn't new. That's been around too. I mean, basically, it's taking pieces of fabric you got laying around, your scraps, sewing them together. It's improv. Now, I
Yeah, and they're not really obviously trying to make points or something match or
no,
something
you
like
don't.
that.
You're just
Yeah.
throwing it all together. You can use up your scraps. Now, I've made quilts that way, and actually, some of my favorite quilts are the ones that I have made this way. I also find this very funny that they're showing these pictures. Not one of them has any quilting in them. They're just pieced.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's what they're saying because they're calling it
They call
piecing.
it piecing. Yeah.
So I guess. But I don't think that's really necessarily a trend. That's something that's been around for a long time. People
Mm-hmm.
do it. People did that with crazy quilts back in the 1800s
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. And of course, they added more decorative stitching to it and things like that. But I don't know.
Two-tone quilts.
Okay, this isn't new either.
No, people do two-tone quilts all the time.
Yeah, yeah, like you pick two colors and that's what you do it with. Um, I don't know why they're calling this a trend, but maybe more people want to get into doing two-tone quilts.
Mm. Pictorial quilts.
Okay, now this I have noticed though that I mean this has been around for a while and it's been left to like the people who do art quilts, really.
It's a stained glass effect.
Yeah. Um, but I think there's more and more people getting interested in doing this. And the reason
Yeah.
I think so right now is because I think people are getting tired of some of the more traditional things. I mean, let's face it, if you look at a quilt pattern and if you analyze it, you were probably attracted to it because of the colors, but the designs that are in them have been around for a thousand years. Like there's standard blocks, they're just done in other colors and the way they're placed. Well, that's quilting, isn't it? Um, but I think more and more people are getting attracted to this more art type quilt where, this is another one where you can, use your scraps kind of a thing. And I've
Mm-hmm.
been wanting to try something like this myself as well. I did do a landscape quilt once, but it was a pattern. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it was paper piecing.
Mm-hmm. I
This,
wonder if you got like a picture, a famous picture, and you got like paint by number picture, and used the grid
hmm,
use it. You put fabrics in it instead.
you could scan it, blow it up to the size you want, and it'd be sort of like paper piecing, but you just use it to lay your pieces down.
Yeah.
And then, oh, that's interesting. I bet you it's been done,
Yeah.
but I've never searched for it. I'll have to search on YouTube and see if
No.
somebody's done it because I've always kind of
Well,
wanted.
see, the reason I thought that is because I did one of those. My first quilt was that one that I did that was sort of like a stained, what they call a stained glass effect,
Yeah,
which was it's sort of like a landscape, right? And when the pattern came, it all came as a big sheet that looked like paint by numbers,
yeah. Well, that's like that
right?
landscape
Only
quilt I
thing, it
did.
wouldn't be as fine as what the paint by number one is. Like
No,
paint by number one would be all these little tiny colors, but what you'd end up doing is having to refine it so that it's bigger chunks of fabric.
yeah. Well, there's also some people use like Photoshop or something, and they take a picture, like
Hmm.
a photograph, and they convert it into a black and white scale or grayscale image, and that shows them where their values are, what needs to
Hmm.
be dark, what needs to be light. And there's some other programs you can
Actually, I
get.
think I might have to dig up. I think I may have a stained glass program somewhere where you can take a picture and it sort of converts it into a
Oh
stained
yeah.
glass. Yeah.
So potential there for that kind of thing. But I think more people are becoming interested in this because I subscribe to the Quilt Show, and they've had people come on there over the last little while who are talking about doing these kinds of things or the pictorial, what they call pictorial quilts, because it doesn't have to be necessarily a landscape. It could be somebody, like a famous person or a photo you have, a family or whatever, your dog, that kind of thing. Okay, I heard about them calling this slow stitching, which is it's hand sewing, basically hand quilting in a sense. But this slow stitching thing a couple of years ago, and I guess the idea in slow stitching is you can use a combination of embroidery if you know how to do hand embroidery and hand decorative stitching, and you sew, and it's kind of got some crazy quilt items to it because you can add elements to whatever you're making and sew them in. So you can put in pieces of ribbon, you can put in applique pieces and stuff like that. Um, and I think the way they've been putting this out isn't so much of what you're creating, but it's a form of meditation, a form of relaxation kind of a deal. I don't find hand sewing relaxing, but some people do. Um, So I don't know if that's going to be a trend or not. Oops.
Hmm.
I think this is moving more into art quilting when you like funky textures, like the pictorial quilting, um, this funky texture, and there was something earlier in this.
Yeah, I can't see somebody that's doing traditional type quilting adding funky texture to their
No,
stuff. I think it's more if you're making a whole quilt that has different textures in it.
yeah. Now I took an online class a couple of years ago by he's Canadian, a little arrogant. What's his name?
Burn,
Peter Burns.
Burn Burns, yeah.
And he did something he calls it hover quilting, and he's won prizes for it and stuff like that. And essentially, you have raw edges everywhere, and you let them fray. You throw it in the washing machine, it frays, and you've got it's sort of reverse applique technique in it as well, and so you get texture with that kind of thing. And I know there's been other quilting modern arty quilters that do this kind of thing all the time. They play with texture and different untraditional fabrics in terms of what you would find in a quilt,
But
do
I
all this
think
kind of
people
stuff.
have been doing that kind of thing for people that are into artisty type quilts
Yeah.
have been doing this kind of thing for a long
Oh
time.
yeah. It's textile art
Hmm.
is basically, and it's very, very modern in that kind of thing. So will there be more of it? I don't know if there would be more of it. I think there'll be about the same amount. No. So that was what that person had. And that I just thought that was an interesting jumping off point about trends. And another trend, and you're all going to laugh at this because you know me, I'm ahead of my time. I've been into gnomes for a while now. So here it says how popular are gnomes in 2023. And that's what caught my interest here. They have a history of gnomes in popular culture, and they talk about it coming from ancient times and the Middle Ages. Basically, they're mythical kind of creatures. They have a folklore around them. Um, they say there's going to be a resurgence in popular culture, or there has been a resurgence in popular culture over the last few years, with people of all ages becoming fans of these whimsical creatures. Um, in 2022, they said they're popular for decorative items for inside and outside of homes, popular figures in popular culture, such as films, books, and video games. So their predictions, they're saying is, um, it's expected that gnomes will continue to gain attention from popular culture due to their whimsical and endearing qualities. Due to the increasing popularity of home decor, it's likely that more people will be looking to incorporate gnomes into their decorating style. And this could lead to an increase in demand for different variants of varieties of gnomes, such as those with unique colors or designs. Well, actually, I agree with that because I have seen lately more and more patterns and books and clubs or block of the month type things that feature gnomes. So I'm ahead of myself on all of that. Um, there's embroidery files for doing gnomes. There are Accuquilt dies for doing gnomes. There are paper piecing projects that do gnomes, and there are quilt patterns that do gnomes, and the quilt pattern books. I have a couple about doing gnomes, making quilts, making cushions, making table runners, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I guess the gnome thing is I was ahead of my time. I'm right in there with everybody else. Um, so, anyways, I thought that was kind of interesting. They even mentioned 3D printing for doing this kind of stuff. And actually, I have seen, because I do a search every now and then on sites I go to find 3D models for printing. And yep, there are all kinds of gnomes. So you see, I have gnome pin cushions that I designed. I have gnome cell phone holders. I have gnome, my latest gnome bookends. I'm a gnome god. But anyways, those were just some of the trends that I looked for. How did I find these? I use Google. I went in. What are the quilting and sewing trends for 2023? There you go. You see, this is why I go back to square one here. You can find all kinds of things on Google. So, you just have to ask the question. That's all. And maybe ask it in a couple of different ways until you find what you're looking for. So easy to do. So I don't know. Other trends? What are the trends in men's shirts?
I'm not sure.
Well, I think you've already started the trend,
Yeah.
making them bold and loud,
Hmm.
the way I like it, with it. Making them from quilting cotton. Actually, I think when you talk to the people that are in your class about, or people who see the shirts that you have made, and you say, yeah, it's quilting cotton, you always get this, you're kidding. It's like, you can make a shirt out of quilting cotton?
Yeah, actually.
Well, there you go. Patchwork clothing.
Hmm.
Patchwork.
And I think
Now, I
it'd be
think it'd be ugly.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, you'd have to line it
Yeah.
because that is seams. Yeah, with it too. But yeah, I don't think I want that. I don't mind wearing something that's made from K facet, but I don't think I want a patchwork one.
I mean, you could do like a two-tone or
Well,
something
yeah,
like
you could do
that. Or,
that
yeah.
with it too.
I
So,
have thought of doing one where I just do like left panel, right panel in a different color, or sleeves in a
yeah.
different color and stuff like that. Like all different colors.
Oh, like what Ron Collins has done.
Hmm.
I'm not saying you're copying, just
No, no, he
saying.
hasn't done all that. He's done lots of stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I know. But anyways, so yeah, okay. So Walter can set the trends for 2023 in the men's fashion designs. Yeah, that. So, anyways, we'll see what the year brings, what other trends there will be, because we'll know because they always come up with it. Especially in the quilting community, there will be some of the big names out there, like what's her name, Mary Porter. For she Mary Fonz from Fonz and Porter or whatever. She always has something about what's trending and whatnot. She seems to follow that. And there's other ones out there that do the same thing. So we shall see what's there for the trends. But I'm happy with my gnomes. Okay, so anything else we need to tell the people? We got anything coming up? We're going to a sew day on
Hmm.
Saturday. Um, Not for you, it's the one at the club. And I'm working on several projects right now, as I often am. And you're working on your bags still.
Hmm.
Either he's behind or getting ahead.
Behind.
Well, behind. Why? What did you have in mind?
No, because I'm still doing Christmas.
Oh, okay. But Christmas comes the end of this
Yeah,
year
yeah,
now,
I
so
know.
you
So
could
you
be
went,
ahead.
yeah.
Whatever. All right. We're rambling now. Okay. So that's it for this week. Thank you for tuning in. And I've got some things coming up next week you'll want to see. I have an interview for next week. Just finished it this morning, and it's a great interview. I think you're really going to love it. And other things. Watch for Stephanie and my announcement about our little sew along that we're going to do. That'll come out on Monday. And yeah, guess that's it. So have a good week, and we'll see
Yep.
everybody next week. Say goodbye, Walter.
Goodbye.